What if the biggest thing holding your team back wasn't disagreement, but the lack of it? Today, we're going to dig into how you can turn conflict from this thing that just causes problems into your team's actual superpower for making brilliant decisions.
We've all been there, right? You're sitting in a meeting, a genuinely bad idea is on the table, and then you just see this wave of silent nods. Everyone agrees, and a terrible decision just sails right on through. It's this really frustrating and unfortunately super common experience.
So how do we break that cycle? Well, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll diagnose what's called the harmony trap. Then we'll make a strong case for productive dissent. I'm going to introduce you to a powerful toolkit called the CUDOS framework. We'll see how it works in a jury room, and then I'll show you exactly how to put it to use and challenge your own team's assumptions.
First up, the harmony trap. Now, you hear the word harmony, and it sounds like the ultimate goal for any team, doesn't it? But that constant, unchecked push to just agree, well, it comes with a hidden and often really steep price tag.
So this harmony trap, it actually has a clinical name, groupthink. It was coined by a psychologist, Irving Janis, and he really pinpointed that dangerous moment, the one where our desire to just get along completely overtakes our responsibility to think critically. We just stop evaluating ideas and start nodding.
This really lays out the two paths you can go down. On one side, you've got the harmony trap, which leads to flawed decisions and, honestly, a culture of fear where nobody wants to speak up. And on the other side, that's the goal. Robust debate, looking at things objectively, and making decisions that are actually aligned with the truth. The real question, of course, is how do we get from that left side over to the right? And that question is the perfect lead-in to our next section, making the case for dissent. This is where we totally flip the script. We're going to see why your team doesn't just need to put up with arguments, it needs to actively ask for them.
Okay, so here is the fundamental mind shift we all need to make. Dissent isn't the enemy of progress. When you channel it the right way, it is the engine that powers your search for the truth. It's like stress testing your ideas until only the absolute strongest ones are left standing.
And just to be super clear, this isn't about arguing just for the sake of arguing. We're talking about productive dissent, which is a structured process. The goal isn't for one person to win the argument. No. The goal is for the entire group to uncover biases, challenge assumptions, and at the end of the day, make a way better decision together.
That all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? This brings us to the CUDOS framework. Think of it as a practical, step-by-step blueprint for having smarter, way more productive arguments.
The framework gives us 4 core principles, all wrapped up in this handy acronym, CUDOS. That's C for Communism, U for Universalism, D for Disinterestedness, and OS. That stands for Organized Skepticism. Sounds a little weird, I know, but let's break down what each of these really means. Okay, first up is C for Communism. And look, let's just get this out of the way. In this context, it has absolutely nothing to do with politics. It's a metaphor. It just means that all the data, all the relevant information, it's common property. It belongs to the group. Information isn't hidden away or hoarded by one person. No, it's shared openly so that everybody is working from the exact same set of facts. Next up is U for Universalism. This one's all about leveling the playing field. Basically, you judge ideas based on their merit and the evidence that backs them up, not based on who said it. A brilliant idea is a brilliant idea. It doesn't matter if it comes from the brand new intern or the CEO. Then we've got D for Disinterestedness. And this one is about being really honest, both with ourselves and with each other. Look, we all have biases. We all have emotional attachments to our own ideas. And sometimes, hidden agendas. This principle just means the group needs to be on the lookout for these conflicts of interest so they don't accidentally poison the decision. And finally, OS for Organized Skepticism. This is where it all comes together. This is where dissent becomes an official, expected part of the whole process. So instead of being this awkward, unwelcome surprise, challenging ideas is something you actively encourage, something you build into the system. Think of it like your team's built-in immune system, specifically designed to hunt down and destroy bad thinking. To see how these principles actually work in the real world, let's look at a super high-stakes example, the jury room. It's pretty much the perfect place to see the CUDOS framework in action. I mean, think about it, right?
the entire point of a jury deliberation is to find the truth. It's not about finding some popular compromise that makes everyone happy. Nope. It's about rigorously digging through the evidence to get to the most accurate verdict possible. It's basically a CUDOS laboratory.
And check out how neatly these CUDOS norms map onto what an ideal jury does. Communism? Simple. All the evidence is shared with everybody. Universalism? The evidence is supposed to be weighed on its own merit, no matter which lawyer presented it. Disinterestedness? Jurors are literally instructed to set aside their personal feelings. And organized skepticism? Come on, they are expected to play devil's advocate and test every single theory. The whole system is designed to guide a group toward a just and true outcome.
So the great news here is that we can take this powerful model out of the courthouse and bring it right into our conference rooms. So how do we actually use CUDOS? Let's get into the tactics for putting dissent to work on your team. All right, for anyone in a leadership position, here are 3 moves you can make that will have a huge impact. First, create a CUDOS charter. Basically, write down the rules of engagement for how you're going to debate. Second, actively train your team to spot their own biases. That's the disinterestedness part. And third, make dissent official. You can assign a rotating devil's advocate for big decisions, or even create a red team whose only job is to poke holes in the plan.
But you know what? You don't need a fancy title to make this happen. Anyone can be a catalyst. You can champion these norms with really simple questions. You can promote communism by asking, hey, what's the data we're all looking at here? Practice universalism by making sure you critique the idea, not the person. Model disinterestedness by saying something like, you know, I recognize I might have a bias here because, and my personal favorite for kicking off some organized skepticism, just ask, what if the opposite were true?
Okay, finally, let's talk about how to challenge our own assumptions. Because, look, implementing this, it's not a magic pill. There are a few common pitfalls you really need to watch out for.
And this right here is maybe the biggest danger of all, something called truth-seeking theater. This is when a team just goes through the motions. You know, you have the debate, you check the devil's advocate box, but deep down, everyone knows the decision was already made before the meeting even started. It's a performance of dissent, and man, is it toxic for trust.
So it is absolutely critical to always reinforce this line in the sand. Healthy dissent, it focuses on the idea. It's trying to get to the truth. It uses evidence. A personal attack, that focuses on the person. It's trying to win. It uses emotion. Keeping that distinction crystal clear, well, that's everything.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to take back to your team. Just think about the way you all work together. What is that one obvious truth? That one plan or assumption that everyone just accepts without even thinking about it? Because that right there, that's probably the perfect place to start practicing a little bit of organized skepticism.